Shalom Israel. First, I want to start by giving all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Akakadash. Double honors unto the elders, apostles, and bishops, GMS Great Millstone, who rule well, teach, and edify, and peace and blessings unto you, one-third Akim Aquat in the house of the faith. My name is Ishaya. Adawan Ratazak. I make an edifying video. Going into just a pretty vanilla topic. A health in a good estate are above all fine golds and riches, as it says in Sirach. I'm gonna actually open up with that precept. I was on social media earlier, and there's these people will go to their athletic fathers and tell them like, "Don't you wish you were athletic?" It's vanity, but with a spiritual eye, you can see that these ex NFL players, MLB players, guys who were ultra athletic, but didn't take care of their bodies, because fitness is more than just muscle, abs, and your bench press. We know that, right? And are in a state where they can't even walk right. He struggled moving. It's like his nervous system had permanent damage. His he's very bloated, very fat. He couldn't really move around like he used to. You can tell that he's visibly strong though. You can tell that he was strong in his day. Of course, you got to be strong to play in the NFL, but it just kind of had me thinking, like, all that money that you got, all those riches that you got. And it reminds me also, like, another example you see at LeBron James. He spends $1 million a year or something like that on his health. And you've seen what he's been able to do at his age. At his age, he still maintains an excellent physique, along with good health and wellness. He doesn't really get injured all too often, right? But look how much money he has to invest into that. Here in his faith and in his, we practice the same principality of taking care of ourselves. You see that a lot with brothers all across the world. But another example is the brothers at the Chicago church. Those brothers are into mixed martial arts, and they're all into dieting. A lot of those brothers have abs and whatnot. And that's a commendable thing in a sense, because if you look at statistically, you're more likely to be a millionaire than to have abs. Whereas 8% of men have achieved millionaire status, 1% of men maintain year-round fitness of sub 12% body fat. And why I'm saying all this is that, one thing that fitness teaches you is delayed gratification and stoicism. You have to go through painful things consistently, day in, day out, to get the results that you want. You know what I'm saying? And fitness is broader. Here in this faith, it's not just muscles and abs. These brothers practice detoxes. They practice true health and wellness on every level. Parasite cleanses, right? Fasts. They do these things that keep their body as that strong temple. Even though you might have a lot of muscles, you can get lost in gym culture. Gym tells you to blast whey proteins and all these different supplements, which is, it's a supplement. It's not your lifeline. When you start treating those supplements like your lifelines, like the protein powders, whether it's whey or pea protein, whatever concentrate that it may come from, eventually it's going to start damaging your kidney and your liver. If you also look up on a deep level, the effects of whey protein on your kidneys, there's been reports of people actually suffering the kidney failure, although they don't drink or have any type of family history with kidney failure, but they drink 2 to 3 whey protein shakes a day. And you might get lost in like, oh, we got to get protein, but that's when it comes to getting real natural resources of protein. And the scripture saying in Ezekiel, I believe it's the 8th chapter, we shall eat our bread defiled among the Gentile. Bro's got to put your health and as a priority as much as you possibly can. You got to pray to the Lord and ask and hope that he keeps you in a good health and a state, thanking him for your body and thanking him, for the temple he's bestowed upon you, and to uplift you. Because, man, it's really easy to get in an unhealthy situation. Very easy, because Esau offers Tito's at $10 a bottle. You know what I'm saying? Bag of chips is $2 and it tastes like fucking tastes like a just euphoric, you know, and that's all the fucking that's what they try to sell you, man. They try to sell you the things that aren't good for you, bro. A lot of times, bros, you know, the world will tell you, you know, don't shop in the middle of the grocery store. Stay on the outside of the grocery store. Like, you know, bros that go to Walmart, I don't personally go there. I go to Sprouts and Whole Foods. You find a lot higher quality, more organic things, but you know, you got to just balance it out for your life, because sometimes shit is really expensive, bro. Because I know when my funds are low, you ain't gonna catch me at Sprouts all the fucking time, man. I'm gonna have to go to Bashers' or some shit like that, Safeway, you know, and catch the deals on the outside. You know what I'm saying? So what I was saying though is like, don't be in the middle of the aisles, man. You got to be on the outside, the produce, all right? You know, the meats, the vegetables, the fruits. You know, keeping it simple. The Apostle Gabar, if you go through his channels, he has videos of what's in my kitchen. He has a series of what's in my kitchen, and he'll show you an example of what he eats. You know, it's greens. You know, he'll eat maybe a lamb dinner or something like that. You know, he'll have these healthful meals. And what does that do, man? It also helps you focus in the spirit. Bros that eat too many carbs, carbs is actually tied to brain fog. Processed carbs really fucks with your brain. And you got to think about the type of things that you're digesting. Your gut health is very important. Your gut is tied to your endocrine system. Your endocrine system is a part of your hormone regulators, right? So when your gut is unhealthy, your hormone regulators are unhealthy, and as a man, that's very dangerous, because your balance, your testosterone, estrogen, dopamine, serotonin, all these. There's so many more different type of chemical. It's just Esau's name for the type of chemical release that you get. Your dopamine, it's like the good feeling sensor. Your serotonin, it's two different type of good feeling sensors. But when your gut is all fucked up, bro, you know, your testosterone could be off. And what happens too if you eat processed carbs is also tied to lower levels of testosterone. They say that nowadays a 65-year-old man in the 1940s or 70s, is one of the two, is currently the same. It's actually 65% higher than that of a man in their 20s currently. You know, just kind of loosely throwing up that article. But the point being is that it's deteriorating. Men are deteriorating, and that's because of Esau and the things that he's doing. The scriptures tell you, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to destroy the man. It's one of his agendas. Is to turn things completely upside down, change the roles, have everything in a disorderly fashion. And one of the ways is making a man weak. And how do you make a man weak? You create these soy boys, these high 40% body fat percentage, fucking estrogen filled little fag boys, or bag boys. Salakia. Hopefully this video don't get taken down. But you know what I'm saying? That's his fucking agenda. That's his disposition. He wants to do these things. All right. So you have to know that and fight against it, because honestly, it's very easy to try to, you know, go and eat the fast foods and all this. And if you do eat fast foods, bro, have fast foods that you will eat, because everything's done in a balance. Everything is done in a balance. You know, but have certain ones that you will deal with, and have certain ones that you will absolutely not fuck with whatsoever. You hear me? Like Salakia. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, say you got McDonald's. Bro should never be eating McDonald's. You know, I heard a video from the Apostles. It's like, you eating McDonald's, I'm pretty sure this is Apostle Tahar. If you eat McDonald's, you going off. That shit's way left field, man. Shit, you probably eating humans. That's how bad that is, man. He said, the Apostle, I remember watching the video that he said, the only reason I'm eating McDonald's is, you know, only reason why I'm in McDonald's is if I'm using the bathroom. That's it. You ain't gonna ever catch me eating there. Nothing. All right, and that's kind of the type of standard that you have to set yourself as, because love yourself, King. Like, real talk, love yourself. Real quick, I'm gonna get Sirach 14:5. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his own goods. So if you're treating yourself like that, if you're not loving yourself enough to eat the right things, whom are you going to be good to, man? because there's a level of love that you have to yourself and to the Lord and to the gift and to the mercy that you've received to even have the temple that you have to just take care of it in the way that it should be, man. You know, you got to treat it in a certain order, man. Um, Sirach 14:11, my son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself and give the Lord his due alms. And a part of doing good to yourself is eating the right fucking diet. Real talk, because it can be to the point where it affects you in its faith. When you start having health problems, diabetes, high blood pressure, they call it hypertension, right? And that thing leads to a whole different type of a whole different sector of difficulties. Cardiovascular, if you have hypertension, a lot of times you weaken your heart health and you can start having cardiovascular issues. And what is a lot of those things tied to also is obesity. Why is obesity tied to those things? Because the foods that you're eating are directly causing this. If you're eating high fat, high processed carbohydrate foods, high sodium foods, that is literally just an attack to your heart. That is an attack to your body. That is an attack to your hormone system. That's an attack to your gut. That's an attack to your brain, your eyes, everything. It fucks with everything. It might as well be a drug. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the rest of the nations across the whole planet even shame America's diet, because what the fuck does it do? You know, nations used to be like, man, back in the 70s, man, they used to be fit. They used to be like that. But now they're just a bunch of fat asses. And that's true. The leading cause in death of men is actually cardiovascular. And the main cause of cardiac arrest, one of the leading causes of it is actually obesity. Diabetes statistically takes 15 years off your life. But, you know, we ain't gonna be here for another 15 years and fucking, or nothing like that. We're on the last few seconds of Esau's rulership, but don't make it hard for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure you dialed into the right type of diet so you can be dialed into these scriptures, dialed into the ministry, having that clear mind. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be in a state where you're just kind of like feeling like shit, headaches all the time. Bro, I you know, for me personally, the water Yahweh Shem Yahushai, call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I get maybe 1 to 2 headaches a year. Like, that's not something I've been, you know, cursed with. It is the headaches, you know. And sometimes, bros, you can be giving yourself headaches if you're sitting in, you know, the stress, this truth is highly stressful. But something that makes it even worse is it's highly stressful and then your diet's so fucked up. You got the bubble guts all the time. You got headaches coming all the time. You got fucking brain fog. That just makes it even harder, man. It really does. Like, imagine Satan's fucking with you and you got all this hell coming at you and you got explosive diarrhea. Like, come the fuck on, bro. But all you have to do is just stay away from Jack in the Box. My dad calls it Jack in the Crack. You know, just leave that shit alone, bro. Don't be eating them $2 mini tacos. Leave that fucking shit alone, bro. Real talk. Because that just adds on top of your hell, bro. It really does. Sirach 30:15, health and a good estate are of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of a heart. Death is better than a bitter life of continual sickness, and that's facts. Why do you think people like to go on hospice so they can feel good and die peacefully? Why do you think people like to just say, pull the fucking plug? You know, if I get like that, just kill me. Because truly, if your health is like that, you just don't want to fucking fight anymore. That's it. Like, fuck this. Like, you don't feel like doing shit else. Like, you just want to die. Like, you'll forget about everything. You'll forget about everything. And I've seen that in working in the medical industry, man. I've seen people just so painfully struck with the certain situations that they're in that they're just like, man, if I died, man, let me fucking die. Don't bring me back. Don't do none of that shit. They call them DNR patients. There's a lot of them, a lot more than you think. People even that are in their 40s, 30s. I've seen a DNR patient in their 30s. I've heard of stories of DNRs in their 20s, and that's how bad these people are living. You know, the Lord has cursed a lot of people with such a bad health. You know, I've seen people with, you know, that got these warts on their skin and all kinds of like scales. I've seen a motherfucker with like scaly skin like a reptile, man. And it went all the way up into their eyes, and their eyes are all puffed up. It's like fat ass eyes, and it's all just filled with a bunch of pus, and then on top of it just scales. And that's the terror of the Lord, bro. You know, and I'm not saying chips and Dumbos is gonna do that shit to you, but hey, keeping a good health is so essential, bro. Because when your health is not good, life is not good. You know, and I've seen that in these people, bro, personally. You know, it's something that like makes you have that low self-esteem demon. You feel like shit. You know, you don't want to do things. You get lazy. Why do you think laziness and fatness are tied together? You fat and lazy. You know, motherfuckers be like, you fat lazy motherfucker. You already know how people get insulting like that. You know, and a part of being fat and lazy is because you being fat makes you lazy. It really does. It does. It fucks with your psychology, and it also on a biological standpoint, it does fuck with you and in your will to do certain things and tasks. So get up and move more, eat better, and drop the weight. You know, our apostles do that, and they give us examples on ways to live. They give us examples on how to maneuver this world. You know, and a part of maneuvering this world is maneuvering around the fucking McDonald's and the Five Guys and the fucking Wendy's. You know, and sometimes, bro, you gotta wane off of it, like it says in the Romans. You know, us being shackled to the chains of sin, but coming into this life, man, like you gotta wane off of those things until it's no longer you. You gotta pray, fast, and constantly endure in His faith, and hope the Lord, you know, builds you up to that level to where you're like, man, I ain't even gonna come near that shit. But when you're waning off of it, bro, like pick the better options. Like say you got instead of McDonald's, go to In-N-Out. I heard a lot of In-N-Out source their food from close by farms, you know, and they don't use any byproducts. After that, after the Secretary of Health, I forget his name, released that bill that banned all food dyes and stuff like that. In-N-Out actually, you know, banned all preservatives to be used inside of their food. Their food is not bad, and especially if you get that, it's called protein style. You know, they take the buns off of it, and it's just meat, cheese, you know, lettuce, tomato, onion, and that's it. You know, and that's a lot easier to wane off of than fucking McDonald's Big Mac burger smash, baby back rib, triple barbecue sauce with some sweet and sour on that motherfucker, man. Get away from that shit, bro. Because the one thing also about McDonald's and all that shit, because when I was in high school, I used to work at Wendy's for a little bit, and bro, that shit's all cross contaminated, bro. They be whipping up baconators on the same fucking shit that you eat in your chicken sandwich on, your fish sandwich. You could be eating some shit that you like, oh man, it's good, but you got that shit lathered in bacon grease. Like real talk, bro. All right, like in the mornings, I don't know if y'all bros like to get the breakfast sandwiches and shit. That's all lathered in bacon grease, all of it. You know, it's just something that you want to avoid. Like, get away from it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be fucking with it. Just leave it on. You know what I'm saying? Because really, you know, fasting, intermittent fasting helps a lot too. Even avoiding eating in the morning, because what that does is it spikes your insulin on a very early level. Your insulin takes around 3 to 5 hours to, you know, settle down to its baseline. And your insulin is actually one of the most important things when it comes to fat loss, because if your insulin's high, it's called insulin retention, and it makes fat loss extremely hard to get to because your body can't hit ketosis to where it starts um, turning into a stage of glycolysis, when it actually starts pulling your fat stores into your energy, sending it to your liver and using it, because that's the process of losing fat. It's through your liver. But if insulin's your insulin is at the certain level that your body won't go into that mode, your body's actually just depending on the food that comes into your body, and then what it does is just throw it straight to the fat stores. So you got to really be careful about how you eat, man, because the Lord made these bodies and they're so unique and they're so deep that you got to really kind of like dial in and hone in to the greatness of the Lord, and try to, you know, do what works for you, bro. Find a good routine. I'm still trying to find a good routine myself, bro. Living in Arizona, man, when it gets hot, man, you don't want to do jack shit. Be like 118 degrees outside. Be like, oh man, go ahead and walk. You know, take a walk, clear your mind. Trust me, if you take a walk out here, that's heat. You gonna have a heat stroke in this motherfucker, man. It's hot. It's so fucking hot. But then even though you want to go, you know, even though you want to go to the gyms and shit, but you just gotta find a workaround. You gotta find the routine. You gotta find that excellence, man. We're warriors. We're soldiers, and we have to constantly, you know, um, be in these things, man. Be in the spirit to do those things. But so I'm gonna get this Ciroc. I think it's 36 or 37. I think it's 37. And 29, 37 and 29 it says, "Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meat." So unsatiable, which is like you can't be satisfied in any dainty thing, and dainty is actually pleasurable. All right, so tying this into food, you don't want to just be like, oh man, I can eat. I can eat, having that spirit, because that becomes your identity. If you tell everybody that yeah, man, I like to eat, then that's how you're gonna think that you are. That's gonna be your identity. That's who you think you are. As a person that just likes to eat. But you're gonna get this habit of overeating, and then that's your identity, man. I just eat. That's just me. It's not you, bro. That's a motherfucking demon inside you telling you that you just overeat all the time. That's why you got that beer belly that hangs so far over your fucking stomach that you can't see your toes. You know, you gotta identify those things and pray the Lord takes that spirit off you, bro. And I'm saying this because I've been through the shit. When I came into this faith when I was 15, and just before I came into this faith, I was when I was like 14, I was about recollecting around that time of 14, and yeah, I was about 5'4", 5'5", 226, almost pre-diabetic. I was almost on the threshold. I really was in that state, you know? And it's one of the hardest things to conquer, as a young man. Personally, is childhood obesity because, hey, bro, it's like, fuck, man. You always get the shit under the stick. You always get clowned on. You always get disrespected. Motherfuckers always just look at you as a funny guy. You're the best friend of bitches and shit. Man, that's terrible, bro. It really is. It's humbling as fuck, too, man. Call Allah Yahweh Shemi Al-Shai. But you don't want to be like that, man. You want to, well, we're men of the Lord. We're the light of the earth. We're the light of the earth chiefly through the spirit, but in our works as well, bro. In our lives, it shows that we know how to manage. It shows that we know how to balance. It shows that we know that even though the shit's hard, the Lord has given us strength, and through our strength, we are able to conquer. So Adawan Ratazada was edifying. I'm going to lastly give honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKakodash,